Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Friday Night Rambles. We're back. It has been, goodness me, about 3-4 weeks since we've done one of these. We had Easter off, and then we decided not to go live with the Basil Brush episode, which was a massive success. So thank you so much for everyone for understanding that one, and thank you so much for viewing it, because that is our best viewed episode until tonight. I think this one is going to be fantastic tonight, because tonight we are in the presence of, I think, showbiz royalty, one of the legends of the entertainment world, whether it be theatre, cabaret, you name it. This Welsh legend has done it. He is one of the leading female impersonators in this country. So please welcome to Friday Night Rambles, Ceri Dupree. Good evening, Ceri.
Hello.
It's lovely to have you. Welcome to Friday Night Rambles.
Thank you very much.
So, how have you been? Because obviously, with everyone that we've spoken to, it's been a really weird year.
Yeah, it still is. I know there's a little light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm still, I'm optimistic one day and pessimistic the next day. I think it will be, it started, but it's a trickle. It'll be a slow trickle. I don't think it'll be flick a switch and it'll be like V-Day, dancing in the streets. I have one show in May. I have 2 shows in June, and then it builds. But I can't really see it going full pelt, if it does, till sort of September onwards, because people are still wary, and a bit nervous.
And I think that's trickled from the top down. I think we've all been told things can change. But what's been nice, and I don't know if you agree with this, I think that all the theatre announcements that have been made over the past couple of days and weeks, it's just a bit of positivity that's happened.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, lots of shows are opening or planning to open, and let's hope they do. It's just, I don't know. I can't jump around about it yet. It won't be right till it's right, and I won't believe it's happening till it's happening.
Well, especially if you're doing your own show as like your own producer of your own material, you're taking such a big gamble taking that out on the road, especially if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but it's like anything, I've been stung this last year or so. I'm only a small little, cog in a great big machine, but I've been stung with you paid out for posters, flyers, banners for one show, and then that gets pulled or moved, the dates. So you imagine what it's like for some of the massive producers that are putting on all these big shows, the amount of money, obviously with the pantomimes last season with Kudos, they're supposed to have done 10, and in the end, none of them happened. They all got, some of them, we did 5 nights or 5 shows in the Mayflower, but in Woking, they got pulled on their dress rehearsal. And the Palladium, it was just so unfair. So I think that's why people are still very wary or very scared now to say, well, wait, here we go. Let's see.
Because if I remember rightly, it was you and Joe at the Mayflower. Obviously, the Palladium got a couple of shows in as well. And then Les Dennis and all the team down in Plymouth managed to get up until the 30th.
I think they did the longest stint in Plymouth. And I think the Palladium and us managed, like I said, 5 or 6 performances. And it was great. It was a great show. I naively thought, this will be like a variety show put together last minute. Joe will be doing his stuff. I'll be doing mine. Leslie Joseph will be going, hello, I'm Dorian from Birds of Feather Heart. But it wasn't. It was great. It was specially written. It was a great production, which made it even more sad that we never got to do it. But anyway, that was then. This is now.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started, because I've listened to your Panto podcast with the lovely Hayden Parker,
Yeah.
and how it all started for you, if I remember rightly, was all sort of a little bit by fluke.
Well, God, I mean, it's such a boring story and such a cliche that in school I was the class comedian, and I used to impersonate my teachers, and I used to impersonate famous people off the television in those days. And we did a school concert, and somebody got up and did a poem, and somebody did folk dancing, played the recorder, played the guitar, and I did an impersonation of Mrs. Thatcher with my grandmother's handbag, and it seemed to go down very well. And we did a pantomime in school then. I would have been 16, and we did Cinderella, and I played one of the ugly sisters. But at the time, I had been to see a pantomime at the Swansea Grand, and there was a wonderful pair called Burden and Moran that were playing the ugly sisters, and I pinched a lot of their gags and put them in the school production. Everybody thought he's very clever, isn't he? Yeah. So that went well, and then I left school and I went to technical college to study art, English literature, and drama. And whilst I was there, I joined the YMCA theatre company. We did pantomime, and I was very much influenced then at the time by Barry Howard, who was a great pantomime dame.
Yeah.
But then how it started in cabaret was we went to a fancy dress party. I used to like fancy dress parties. I hate them now because I spent my whole career dressing up. So
yeah,
when I invited a fancy dress, I go, no. But then I loved them. Anyway, Heidi High had just come onto television, and you can probably guess where I'm going with this story now. And so I thought, I'll go as, it was such a topical program at the time. I thought, I'll go as Gladys Pugh. And I was in Tesco's with my mother shopping, and there was a lady doing a promotion for Stork SB margarine, who my mother knew, and she had a yellow jacket on. And I said, that would be great for Gladys. So my mother spoke to her, and she said, well, I'm finishing the promotion on Friday. You can have the jacket. So we put, obviously, blue piping on it, gold buttons, and I went as Gladys Pugh. And I won first prize, and it was in a nightclub, in a disco, and the DJ called me up to get the prize. He had a microphone. He was a bit cocky. I was a bit pissed, and he gave me the microphone. I started doing Gladys. The audience loved it. And I thought, I don't know. So I started doing an act in the clubs in Wales, and I was doing Gladys, and I did Peggy, the chalet maid, and Shirley Bassey. And this is how long ago it was. If you remember, anybody remembers Hilda Baker? She was a character on television at the time, and I used to do her. And then I eventually did Tina Turner, and that's how it started. And a friend of mine, an actor, Welsh actor called Desmond Barrett, saw my show, and he said, you should go to London and do your act there. He said, because they all mime. And I said, what do you mean mime? And he said, there's a lot of acts there, drag acts, but they all mime. Well, I didn't know what a mime act was. I'd only ever seen on my idols on television were Dick Emery, Stanley Baxter, and Danny LaRue. I did not know what a mime act was. And then we had an act that came to Swansea to the Palace Club in High Street, and they were called the Harlequins, and they were two guys, and they did a mime act, and they were very clever, and I thought they were great. And I didn't know at the time. I do now. He's a friend of mine, Phil Randall, and he was one of them. And anyway, I moved up to London, and I used to go and see the Harlequins, and then I started doing my own act in London, and it went from there, really. So that's how it started.
So what was it like taking the leap from London? Because Swansea to London, obviously Swansea, even though it is a city, it's miles away from London. So what was it like taking that jump?
I'll tell you, London was easier than Wales, because going into rugby clubs and working men's clubs, then, doing an act that I did, as in a glamorous female impersonator, it was, you soon learn that you have to make them laugh. You can't just look $1 million. You've got to make them laugh. So I learned that a hard way some nights. But I've said this many times, and I will say it again. Gladys Pugh was my saving grace because it was topical. She was Welsh and she was funny. And at the time, I was only in Wales, so she saved. Sometimes things wouldn't go that well because it was too glamorous and it was a bit alien to them. Then the only glamorous one then was Danny LaRue, and Gladys saved the day. But then going to London, obviously London was a lot more, broad-minded and sophisticated and arty and everything, doing all the gay clubs and gay bars and things. And there were also in those days loads of cabaret places where people went for dinner and a cabaret, in Essex and Kent and all over the place. Just we worked. When I tell people we worked 7 nights a week, they find that hard to believe, but we did, and we did 3 shows on a Sunday. You do a lunchtime show and an afternoon and an evening on a Sunday, and sometimes 2 on a Saturday. That's hard to believe now, the way things are now, but that was the norm.
And I guess as well, because you're having to work so many shows, that's how you rack your money up, in the sense that you had to put in the hours in order to get the money.
Yeah, because then, again, this is laughable, but then it was £40, £45, £55 a show. I remember once being on £85, and I said, oh my God, that's 85. That's good. I mean, that's a joke now, but then it was a lot of money.
So what was it about pantomime that you liked as an art form? Because obviously cabaret is one thing. Obviously you talk about your working men's clubs, you talk about the cabaret bars and in clubs in London, but pantomime is a completely different audience.
I love pantomime for 2 reasons. One reason is you can go anywhere with it. It is complete and utter La La Land fantasy. You can do anything. I remember when I saw Bobby Crush in Dick Whittington playing Dick Whittington, and they threw him into jail, and in his cell there was a grand piano, and you just, of course. So you can do anything in pantomime. The other reason I love it is it's probably only one of the few shows that are left that you can take all the family to, and all age groups, from 4 up to 94. The whole family goes, and there's not many shows because there are no summer seasons anymore, family shows, because families go abroad now. They don't go to Blackpool or Brighton or Eastbourne anymore. They all go abroad. So the summer season's gone, so those family shows are gone. So it's really only pantomime where you get the whole cross-section of society going to it. And I love that as well.
So how do you put your act into panto? Because obviously the act you do is very niche. So how do you fit that into
Like I said, you can do anything in pantomime,
Yeah.
I mean, we've done Sleeping Beauty, and it's like, oh, what can we do? How can we save the princess? Oh, I know, Slimeball, the villain. He loves Tina Turner. Da-da! He loves Lady Gaga. Da-da! He loves Amy Winehouse. Da-da! He loves Shirley, So all this, this topical things every year. I mean, I remember once doing, for the first few years, we did, Jordan, Katie Price, because she was she was around everywhere. So I came on as her. And then another year it was Wonder Woman, or it was Supergirl, or, years ago it was the topical things like Teletubbies or Ninja Turtles, or what was that awful song I hated doing? Flipping out. Oh, Baby Shark.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. That was literally everywhere.
Well, it was in every. So that So you can always fit like I just said, you could fit anything into pantomime, any fantasy scene. You know, I remember when I saw that lovely production when pantomime went back to the Palladium, you know, and they had tap dancing pumpkins.
I remember that. They did that in Newcastle as well that
Yeah,
year.
yeah, you know, yeah. We had them in. We did Birmingham Cinderella, and they had the tap dancing pumpkins. You know,
Because that was the Palladium version that
it
came
was,
up to
yeah.
Birmingham. So what was it like knowing that set in that production had transferred from its first year at the London Palladium? What was that like being asked to do that?
Well, it was great. You know, it was great. I mean, the guy who played the other ugly sister was David Dale.
Oh, the lovely David Dell. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still his favorite pantomime to date. He absolutely loved it. You know, one of my favorite pantomimes was in Birmingham. It wasn't that one. It was I did Sleeping Beauty there.
Oh, was Joe?
With Joe Pasquale, yeah, and I forget his name now. That the Scouser, what's his name? Ray Quinn. And my sister Ria was Caraboss, and it was just a fantastic cast. We had everything in that pantomime. Michael Harrison put every. I mean, I don't think there was anything he left out. You know, we had water coming down, waterfalls coming down, and there were words in the water. The water stopped, and there were words.
Yes.
I mean, there was everything in it. I did 22 costume changes in it.
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
22. Yeah, I lost over 2 stone during the run, and that was sponsored by Cadbury's that year. So we were ever having chocolates. My dresser at the time, Deborah, she loved chocolate, but she loves food. Period. But there was a big selection bottle and tins of roses everywhere, and we were just eating all day. And I still lost all that weight, stripping and dressing 44 times a day.
So what made you decide that number? Because most dames, I'd say, from knowing people that I work with and obviously and friends, they roughly go for about 8 or 9, maybe 10, 12 at a push. But 22, why that number?
We wanted to do it because Michael Harrison wanted to break the record, which was Danny LaRue, 21. And so we wanted to do 22. And how we got the 22nd one in was I just came skipping on as Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music, because when Caraboss, the fairy, puts a spell on her to make her nice, she just went into the hills are alive with the sound, and I came skipping on as Julie Andrews, and that's how we got the 22nd entrance in. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So, have you got the official world record for that?
I'm not interested in things like that. As long as I know I did it, or Michael and I know we did it, and a few people, I'm not into all that sort of thing.
And then you took that production across the country. So, what was it like taking something that you sort of originated in one venue and then doing it again, like sort of replicating that magic elsewhere?
Oh, it was great. We lost a few people along the way, but we tried to keep as many people in it as possible. But obviously people go off and do other things and do other jobs. You can't always get them back together. But we had, quite a few of the same dancers and a few of the principals, which was great. And obviously myself and Joe, I think we did it for about 8 or 9 years, and it was lovely. And you just tweak the script, but that was more difficult sometimes than learning a brand new script, was to go to one you sort of knew, but then they change it and you think, oh, so it was more difficult really than learning a brand new script. But it was a great pantomime, and I love doing that one.
And as you say, you've worked with Joe for many years,
yeah.
And then you sort of had a little bit of a break while you did your Cinderella. So what was it like working with Joe again in The Christmas Just Gone?
Great, lovely. I said that it was nice to be back working with him. And Leslie Joseph was a Caraboss, and it's great to work with her as well. I know Leslie for quite a while. So it was great, and Jimmy played the king. I knew him, and Ed Court, our MD, I knew him. So it always helps if you know somebody and you've worked with them before, because if you can just relax. They know how you work and how you are as a person, and because I'm a director's nightmare because
Right.
I don't really give a lot until I'm in costume and that, you know. And I could see I have over the years I've laughed because they say, right, we'll just run the Tina Turner number, Ceri, and I go, I don't know, I can do it here, but I sort of just go and I go da 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 da, da. And it's playing, you know, whatever, you know, simply the best or something, and you can see the dancers looking, going, he's crap, he's absolute crap, you know. You can see, and then come the dress rehearsal, or especially the tech or the performance, and I'm in full Tina gear, and I'm throwing myself, you know, and you can see all the dancers watching the wings going, oh, I didn't expect it to be like that. And I'm terrible. You know, I really am.
So do you think the costume is like your magic power in the sense?
Sorry to interrupt you. What I'm saying is, if they've worked with me before,
Yeah.
then they know well, when you work with somebody before and they don't know, they think, well, you're not giving me much, you're not giving me much, you're not giving me much, you know. And then come the tech, the rehearsals, I will. It always helps me to have all the gear on. I suppose after all these years, why I would be self-conscious, I don't know, but I am without it all on.
So it's like your magic power in the sense that it's something. Again, it doesn't matter. I know. Again, I think I've spoken to a couple of people about this. As soon as they put on like a wig or a shoe or something, it's like that magical energy.
Yeah, it's your armor. You know, it really is. And I mean, there was a great actress performer many years ago called Beryl Reid, and she said she could never get the character until she got the shoes on, and the shoes are really important. Really, you know, to get you into character. You know, I have a pair of shoes I wear when I do Edith Piaf, and they're getting very scruffy and falling apart. And we've mended them, and I've worn other ones, and it sounds so stupid, but I just don't think they are the ones for Piaf, you know. And also costumes. If I'm doing somebody like, say, a Hello Dolly skit or a Norma Desmond or something, I have worn that costume. I wore the Norma Desmond costume a few shows as Zsa Zsa Gabor, and it didn't work because I'd worn it for Norma. And Hello Dolly, I opened a show once wearing the Hello Dolly costume, not doing the Hello Dolly routine, and that didn't work. So I've learned. Do you want to say something, Lee? You're waving your hand around. Oh, sorry. And I don't know. It's just silly, I guess. It's like you have a costume made for Ginger Rogers, you know, and you wear it for somebody else. Doesn't work. So I'm very much, those costumes are that. They're Shirley Bassett's set of costumes. They're Tina's. They're, you know, funny. It's weird.
And speaking of your costumes are known throughout the business as being these magnificent, like these huge, gigantic spectacles. So where do you get the ideas from? Like, what's the inspiration for that?
Everywhere, absolutely everywhere. You can get ideas from. You know, I always remember this model once, international model, traveling around with all these other models, and they'd all be tired and they'd all be sleeping in the minibus. And she was awake. And they said, why do you stay awake? She said, because I see things all the time and they give me ideas. And I do, you know, whether I've seen big shows in Paris or Vegas and they give you ideas. But I've also seen, I remember seeing an advert once for car insurance when I was working in South Africa, and their colour was purple and lime green. And I thought, well, I'm going to do purple and lime green costume. And I put all that together. It was like lime green satin, and then we had purple gladiolis all climbing up it, and I had a vase on it. So you just get ideas all the time. I'm always looking at things and always thinking, right, you know, let's try and do something different, try and do something new. But I've got to curb that. I have to stop with everything because it's just spiraling out of control, money-wise. I would starve. Well, you know, if I was starving and they said, right, there's a costume there or there's food, I'd go, well, I love the costume.
So what's the costume that you've been the most proudest of?
Oh, I don't know. Not proud, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really got favourites. I've got favourite characters that I do, but I haven't really got any favourite costumes. There's so many. I regret. I sold a lot over the years, and I've given some stuff away, and I regret that. But I've had about 3 or 4 big clear outs and sales, and I regret that. Funny enough, I was only talking about that this afternoon.
Yeah.
And I saying, yeah, and you forget things that you had. Uh, Over 600, 700 costumes over the years that I've got shot of, and I wished I'd kept them all, really. I don't know where I would, they'd have to be in a warehouse or somewhere now. Um, but I regret that.
Am I right in thinking you've got one of Dan's as well?
Yeah, I had one that he wore I have one he wore in 1969. There's a, that's, you can't get that. That's on the wall. Yeah, he wore it in Sleeping Beauty. He played Queen Passionella, and he wore it in 1969. And it's yellow velvet, and it's left to me. And it was we sort of tidied it up a bit because the cape had gone, the lining, so we had a new lining put in it, and I wore it in Sleeping Beauty, but I only wore it for one season because it was falling apart. And the velvet, if once velvet rots and tears, you can't patch it. You forever, So, and I wore it on. I played Dan in a television program called about Cilla Black, called Cilla, and Sheridan Smith played Cilla, and I did Dan in that, and I wore that, So that was quite good. So 69. How old was that now? 45 years?
Almost. Will it be 50? Is it 50? It'll be over 50.
My God, yeah. 52. Yeah. 52. Is that right?
Yeah, about right. I'm not good at mental maths, but what was it like then? Because you say Daniel Rue obviously is one of your inspirations. So what was it like to sort of? Because am I right in saying you met him a couple of times?
Loads of times, yeah. Yeah, I didn't really get to know him till sort of the late 80s. He used to come in. I used to work in a club in London for a few years called Madame Jojo's, and he used to come in there quite a bit. But you couldn't get much sense out of him then. He was very pissed. But then most people were. It was a nightclub. The shows didn't start till midnight and 1:30. But then I did get to know him. I did a summer season in 1991 in Blackpool, and I was at the Horseshoe Show Bar with Bradley Walsh before Bradley was famous, and a magician whose name I can't remember his name. It was very clever. I can't remember his name. And Dan's show was at the end of the South Pier. It's not there anymore. The theatre's gone. And funny enough, Chris Hayward was one of the boy dancers in Dan's show, and Mike Doyle, a Welsh comic, he was Dan's special guest. Anyway, it was a great time then. It was just when the summer seasons were sort of coming to an end, but it was still a long season. It was almost 7 months. Would you believe? We finished November the 10th. We opened in May. But everybody used to get together on a Sunday, all the shows, it was like Little and Large and Freddie Starr and people. And we used to go to this lovely restaurant in Blackpool called Autumn Leaves. And Dan would be there, holding court, and we'd be laughing. And, I think Allo Allo was on at the North Pier, so Gordon Kay and Vicky Michelle. And it was just great, But I got to know him then. But when I really he came to stay with me when he did pantomime in Cardiff. He stayed with us here for about 8 weeks, and some of the stories, but there you go.
Wow. I mean, just hearing that, it sounds like, when you just get someone that's just got that big presence, that big aura, it just sounds like Dan was one of those people.
Oh, he was, I mean, he wasn't backwards in coming forwards, but I don't know how old he was then. I think he was probably about 75, 76, and still doing 2 shows a day, and I used to think, my God, you're 76 and you're putting all that gear on. I mean, I thought, playing it out,
Yeah.
you've got to admire that, uh, you know, tenacity. You've got a dedication and everything at that age, And of course, he worked up until he was about 78. Looking out,
But you don't get that grit nowadays. You don't get the legends that are just the grafters anymore.
No, well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that, and that's because the places are not around to graft in anymore.
Yeah.
Like I said, the summer seasons are no more. Variety is really no more. You get the odd variety show here and there. Variety now is on the cruise ships. Pantomimes, they do smaller runs now, I mean, if you get a 6-week run, that's unusual. They're now 3 and 4 week runs, but before they'd run for 8, 9, 10, 14 weeks, some of them. And then you do your summer season, and then you do your 2 cabarets in between and a couple of corporates, and your year was full. Now it's enough of a struggle to fill a Friday and a Saturday with venues. I mean, I think that, I hate to be doomy and gloomy, but all this hasn't helped just now, obviously. Yeah. The clubs were on their arse before. Now I think they're going to be strong. And I think within the next 10 years or so, we might be talking about working men's clubs and rugby clubs and social clubs. And like we talk about music hall and variety, they'll have gone.
But I was reading something the other week, and I thought, do you know what? It made absolute sense. Obviously, with all the COVID stuff, shows, particularly touring shows, the big tours that would normally go around the country, they might struggle depending on what the rules and regulations are. So do you think we're going to see a sort of resurgence of the summer season potentially this year?
You may get people that will stay here on holidays this year, but the problem you'll have is producers will be too afraid to stage summer shows just in case there is, I don't want to even say it out loud, another,
yeah,
and they, because nothing at the moment is a surefire dead cert.
It's worrying. I'm worried for live entertainment in general.
Well, yeah, because you could put a show on. I mean, look, there's no guarantee you'll get an audience anyway. Even before this pandemic, there was no. Sometimes I walk out to 900 people, and sometimes I walk out to 65 people in a. I can be in a 1,000-seater theatre and there's 90 people there, or it can be full, or it can be half full. You just don't know. Whereas now, who knows? Who knows? Because you could be walking out to 40 people or, 840 people. I don't know. I just don't know.
It's one of those things that you just, again, you say you just don't know, but I think people are craving it. People are craving to be out and to be entertained, which I've got my fingers crossed. So, like, in terms of, like, sort of backtracking before we go on and talk about the doom and gloom again, because I don't want to talk about doom and gloom all the time. Talk about your wall, because your wall is known for being one of the most glamorous walls in showbiz.
My wall?
Yeah, that wall there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's all the walls. This is upstairs in my upstairs lounge. This was an office, and then I turned downstairs. As a back room, as an office downstairs, and I turned this into a second lounge. But everybody seems to end up here. I don't know why, but they do. There's a lounge downstairs, and there's a great big dining room and a big kitchen. But we had a little gathering on Sunday in the garden, about 15 of us, and people ended up here. That's what there's eight of us here at the end of the night. Everybody always ends up in this room. So it's just got posters of shows I've done over the years. That's all. Nothing exciting.
It's like a magnet, though. There's something about showbiz which I think is this big magnet. So what attracted you to being into showbiz? Because am I right in saying your family was quite a showbiz family?
Yeah, my sister's a performer, and my mother was a singer, opera singer, years and years and years ago. And my dad used to do cabaret, clubs and things. But my dad used to work 4 or 5 nights a week. Then I remember him being out in the clubs, mainly in Wales, but he did go up north and do runs and things. And he met my mother on a variety show at the Grand Theatre in Swansea, and they got together, and my mother gave it all up. My father carried on in the clubs. Yeah, but it doesn't necessarily mean just because your parents do it that you'll do it. I just don't. I don't believe that really. If you're going to be a performer, if it's in you to be a performer, you'll do it.
And so does the Grand hold quite a special place in your heart for that reason?
Yeah, it does, because that was the first theatre I was taken to as a kid to see pantomime. And I used to see a Welsh double act there called Ryan and Ronnie that were as famous in Wales as Morecambe and Wise were in the rest of the UK. And they had such a following that pantomime used to open on Boxing Day and it finished on March the 14th.
Wow.
I know.
I love that.
Yeah, all over Wales, coach loads would come in because we used to go twice. My birthday, which was the 29th of January, and my sister's birthday, which is March the 8th. So we went twice, and it was still running. And that's where again, a cliche, but I fell in love with the magic of the theatre. But then my parents also took me to see, they had variety weeks there. You'd have a variety show for a week, like you'd have Larry Grayson, I saw, and I have Frankie Howard and Bob Monkhouse. And they took me to see those when I was pretty young, really. I would have been about, 12, 13, 14. And I loved that. And rep seasons, which hardly exist now.
Yeah.
My mother would take me to see the plays and things, but they don't exist much now.
So what was the first time you stepping on that stage? When was it the first time that you actually crossed?
Well, I did my own show there. Did you mean at the theatre or just in general?
As the theatre, yeah, as in the Grand.
It was in about 1980, 87, 88. I was appearing at Madame Jojo's, and I was there 6 nights a week, but obviously not happy with that. I had to do Sunday shows. And I thought, right, I'll put my own show on at the Grand in Swansea. And I booked it. I had the contract. I bit the bullet. And I'm going to say I shit myself then. I thought, oh, my God, what have you done? Because, I mean, all right, now it's not so scary now. But then I thought, what have I done? What have I done? You've got to go ahead with it. And we did. We had a band. See how long ago it was. We had a 10-piece band.
Wow.
And 4 support acts, and I did it, and it was great. But I was very nervous doing it. So I thought, oh, I'll lose a fortune here, but it was all right. It was okay. Didn't lose that much money. Well, didn't lose any money.
Wow.
I lost loads of money on some shows, and then made on others. But that's the way it goes.
And so I'm guessing, like, when you go into a theatre, like the Grand or like the Hippodrome in Birmingham, it's like an old slipper. Like, it's like that glove, sort of. You go and you feel some sort of comfort.
Yes,
so that must be like.
Yeah, but you still don't know. It's like I'm doing the Hippodrome with my own show, my one-man show in September, and again I'm thinking, oh my God, that's huge theatre. I mean, I know I won't fill it, but I have to have enough people in there to get an atmosphere going. But I've bitten that bullet, and I think, oh God,
Yeah.
but it's a lovely theatre, and I've worked there, many times. But I've not done my own one-man show there. I've done my one-man show in the studio theatre there 3 or 4 nights, but there's no guarantee that. Anyway, it's done now. Contract signed. September the 11th.
Well, fingers crossed. We'll definitely put it all on our socials for you. I've got a couple of questions that have come in. I'm so sorry if I pronounce your name wrong. I think it's Rianne has said, "Hi, Ceri. I've seen your shows multiple times in South Africa. Did you experience a difference in how South African audiences reacted to your show compared to the British audience? Because you've performed all across the world on the cruises and in different countries as well. So what is it like doing your show over here compared to doing it internationally?"
I just think that when you work abroad or work sort of anywhere really, find out, do your homework and find out local references. So it would be like when I went to South Africa, I would say, okay, who is the South African Joan Collins? And it was a woman called Edith Venter. I think it was Edith Venter. So you do jokes about her. Whereas my Joan Collins gags, I know Joan Collins is internationally known.
Yeah.
But so I said Edith Venter, and I said the local politicians, and you'd mentioned Desmond Tutu, and you get to know local places and where are the posh areas, where are the rough areas, who's in the news, who's good, who's bad, who's and there was a chat show host on television, and there was a woman on demonstrating frying pans, and she was quite funny, and I said, what's her name? So we put her into. So really you localize, if you like, your act. But then you do that if you go up to Scotland or in Wales, or you do it in Birmingham, and you say, right, where's posh in Birmingham or Nottingham, or so get laughs like that. So there wasn't really much difference, really. They absolutely loved Camilla when I did Camilla, and I did the Queen out in South Africa. They fell about at that. But then they do. I've done shows in Malta and Portugal, and they love Camilla out there as well. And I quite like doing her.
Amazing. Got a couple of people that are saying hello. James Robert Hughes says, me and David Dale say hi.
Hello.
Oh, bless him. We've had David Dale on the show before. He's lovely. George Sullivan has said, hello, Ceri. Fab to see you. We'll be seeing you this year at the Cumberland. Question for you. Did you approve of my recreation of your makeup?
Well, yes. I was only talking about that the other day, funny enough. And I was saying, there's a little Ceri Dupree clone there,
So how long does it take to do your makeup when, like, say for a cabaret show or for Panto? How long would that normally take?
Well, I can do it in 45 minutes, but I don't like to rush. I like to sort of I don't know, about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half. I like to take, but I can do it. I can do it, and I've done it in half an hour. Sometimes we've got to, some flaming out. I can remember going to Hull, a cabaret in Hull, and dear God, we got there. And when I say the skin of my teeth, I am talking literally. I mean, my dresser, Rosemary at the time, she knew how to. We didn't have a roadie. This is a long story, but we lost the roadie on the way. There were winds. She was coming from Swansea to meet me in Birmingham. I was coming from Leicester, meeting her. It all went wrong. Oh my God. And we got there. I think I was due on stage at 8:15, and we got there at 7:00. Now, some people might think, you got an hour and 15 minutes. That is like, well, I would normally arrive for a cabaret at about 3:00 in the afternoon to set everything up and sound check. And for some cabaret rooms, we take light in, so you have to put light, a whole number. And I always remember years ago when I used to work in London in the clubs and everything, and we were on a show once with Lily Savage, and he used to say, because he used to turn up with like one bag, and then we'd come up there and he'd go, Here she is, holiday on ice, Billy Star, and all that with so much gear. And how I got on that stage at 8:15. I do not know, but we did it. I can't remember doing the show. Can't remember anything about it, but we did it. So I hate being late.
I've got any other like memorable mishaps that have happened over the years?
No, not really. I mean, I really can't think of many mishaps. I'm so flipping careful all the time and fussy and annoying, and I double and treble check everything myself before a show. That I mean, things like sound, you can't help that. The sound goes off, or we were doing the Theatre Royal in Brighton once, and it was a terrible thunderstorm, and it literally, it's that theatre's so old, the roof was leaking. And I was doing a Marlene Dietrich thing, and I had a white feathered coat with a big, sort of 12-foot train. And as I'm doing Marlene, the stagehands are coming on and putting buckets on the stage to catch and then it was really, really bad thunder and lightning. And Marlene is quite quiet, she's talking, and you could hear it going. And I kept moving the fur around the feather coat around the stage to a dry part, and that was getting really big laughs. And also another night was again in Birmingham at the Studio Theatre. We did a few nights there, and there used to be a lovely guy that used to work up in the green room, and he was blind, so he had a guide dog, a gorgeous dog, and they came to see the show the year before, and the dog sat right in the front row, quiet all the way through the show. Then the next year they came to see the show, the dog was quiet, until I walked on again as Marlena in the white fur coat, and the dog was howling, and they like that all the way through. I don't know what it was, but we had completely. I thought, this is everything. Every time I went to speak, the dog would, I don't know whether he didn't like Marlena's German accent, or it was the coat, or a mixture of the two, or I don't know. It was hysterical. Nobody was laughing at anything I was saying. The dog was completely getting the laughs. Yeah. So I can't remember other things. I'm sure there are things that have happened.
We've got a couple of other messages that have come through. June Owen says, "Hi, Ceri, massive hug sent to you."
Oh, hello, June Owen.
Here's a question from James. I don't know if this is one that we should ask, but what is your least favourite pantomime? Is that title or as in one that you've been in, James? Just to clarify, but what is your least favourite panto? What was your least favourite title?
Subject?
Yes, subject-wise, yeah.
Jack and the Beanstalk.
Do you not like that?
The dame, no, she's very drab, and then he doesn't find those. He's not rich until towards the end. So yeah. My favourite is as a dame is Aladdin.
It's twanky.
Yeah, because there's so much scope with costumes. Those fabulous Oriental sort of designs, and you can just go overboard with everything. There's so many exotic things to do with China and the Chinese and everything, but Oriental, I love all that. Yeah. So especially when she's rich. I always remember, again, going back to what I said when I saw Bobby Crush and you threw him in jail as a grand piano, when Danny Rue did Aladdin, and they say, "Well, Aladdin, you've got the lamp. Is there anything you wish for?" "Oh, I wish my mother was here." And then Dan comes on and sings Copacabana.
Wow.
I think, what? But that's the joy, the bliss of pantomime.
Wow.
You can do what you like.
Is there any panto that you would like to do? Is any title you would like to do, or something?
Now, come on, you know what I'm going to say.
Is it Mother Goose?
It is.
Why have you not done it?
No, I've never done Mother Goose.
Wow.
No. I'm sure I will one day, but that is the Dame's Panto. It's not done very often now. They're doing a lot of the other old like Goldilocks, Three Bears, and Humpty Dumpty and stuff like that. But they don't seem to be doing Mother Goose. I'm sure I'll do it one day.
Would you do the Goldilocks? Or did you do Goldilocks? Because that was a fantastic Palladium production. I got to see that one.
Yes, that one I didn't see that. I didn't have time to go and see that. But that's the. I believe she's the circus owner, isn't she?
Yeah, something like that.
She can be again. There's wonderful scope there for costumes. Anything to do with the circus, they're endless. The girl in the flying trapeze, the popcorn candy. But there's umpteen costumes you can come up with for that.
So, in terms of your costumes, obviously, I don't want to talk too much about what happened last season, but in terms of your deciding what costumes you were going to put in, how did you go about that? Because wasn't it a 90-minute show you did?
It was 90 minutes, yeah. But I still changed 10 times.
Wow.
It was, but again, it was say 10 times. It was 9 times, but I made an appearance as Carmen Miranda. There was a chase. You're chasing the slime ball and Caraboss and the prince and everything. And of course, Carmen Miranda joins in the chase. It's pantomime. You can do what you like.
It's magical. And so, what was it like to rehearse as well in weird and wonderful ways?
Annoying. That was annoying because of masks. Oh God, I won't go into it, but it was like, you had your own little space in rehearsals, and it was like a flipping horse box. You're in your stall like a flipping whippet in a trap, waiting to be let out. So you have your mask on, and then it's like, oh, my entrance is coming up. Take the mask off, get up. So you just, and then you're on. You're speaking without a mask on, but then you sit down, put your mask back on.
Did you end up wearing the visors during the show?
No.
No.
They said, oh, when you come off stage, you have to wear a mask when you go back to the quick change area. I said, yeah, right. Am I going to get a mask on? I've got a microphone on. I've got wigs glued on. I've got earrings with hooks over them so they don't come off. Everything. I said, no. And they got a bit shitty. And I got one of those. Do you remember those clear masks?
The visor things, yeah.
With a thing. They used to put the hairspray on. So I had one of those. And I went, okay.
Here's an interesting question. How many pairs of shoes do you own?
How many pairs of shoes?
Yes.
Oh, God. Flaming out. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. What do you think, Lee? 200 pairs like that? How many? Oh, about 300 pairs of shoes. I got there's loads.
My mum asks, did the mask have sparkles or sequins?
No, I can't be bothered with all that. Sparkling, glittery masks. No, I don't like masks.
No, I don't think anybody likes masks at this
point. No,
they
don't. I mean, I'm not. I know you have to wear them, but no.
No, well,
I wouldn't bring any attention to a mask whatsoever.
No. So, moving forward, is there anything that you would like to do? Is there anything have you got like a bucket list of anything that you would like to do?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a few things. I would like to take my act to Vegas at some point. And funny enough, we were going in last November, we were going out there to meet with a lady out there in one of the casinos, but obviously that didn't happen. So I would like to do that. I would love to I always wanted to do a play about Betty Davis. I still would like to do something about Danny LaRue, because I know I don't want to bang my Danny LaRue drum, but he was the first to take glamorous drag further than anybody could have ever dreamed of. And I know everyone goes on now about the RuPaul program, but Dan was there before them all. And what he did West End shows, and he did a movie, and he was I just wish people could be reminded of what he did when he did it, and I would like to do something about that. I would have thought that they would have done, they've done these biopics on Scylla, which deservedly so as well, and people, like Kenneth Williams, of course. But then they did one on Fanny Craddock, and then they did Hughie Green, and you go, well, why not do Dan? But no one's done it. I don't know why. So I'd like to do a play about Dan. I'd like to do that, and one day I'd like to do La Cage aux Folles.
Yeah,
but not yet. That's like when I'm much, much older, because I think that part should be played by somebody that's coming up to 70. And the whole point when he does that number, I Am What I Am, is basically he was a fabulous looking, glamorous female impersonator. And now, although he still looks good, he doesn't look, and he never will look like he used to look. And that's where I think the pathos comes in. And but I'd do that one day. But who knows? I mean, right now, I just want to work, whether it's in a wine bar, a restaurant, a theatre, a cabaret, a corporate, flipping anything. I just want to work. The business that I came into in 1983 has changed so much, and it's not like it was. So I just want to keep doing things and keep working, and that's it, really. I've no real ambitions, although I've just reeled off 4 or 5 things I'd like to do them, but I've no real sort of ambitions anymore. I just want to keep working, And,
is there anywhere you want to perform panto-wise, like a venue that you've not done, or is there another venue you'd like to go back to?
No, not really. I mean, no, I've done, most of the theatres in the cities, pantomimes in the UK. And I've done lots of little theatres with my own show in the UK. No, not really. I can't think of a theatre, that I would like to do again. And I like all. I got my favourite theatres. I love the Grand Theatre in Blackpool. That's gorgeous, But she doesn't seem to be very big on variety there anymore, which I don't know why, because it's the home. It's known as the home of variety. But anyway, let's not get into that. And that lovely theatre in the Isle of Man, the Gaiety Theatre. Gorgeous theatre, love that. Swansea Grand for obvious reasons. New Theatre Cardiff, love, because I live in Cardiff now. And that lovely Buxton Opera House.
Yeah,
that's the one. I'd like to do that one, because I did take my show there, but I went to the Studio Theatre there, and I would love to take my show to the main house there. Yeah. Other than that, no, just to keep rocking.
And if you couldn't play like the dame character or the ugly sister character, is there any part that you would like to play in pantomime?
Yeah, I've not done Wicked Queen, believe it or not, and I'd like to do that,
Because Chris Hayward's going to be doing that this season. They've just changed the title to Snow White, and Chris.
Yeah, they have. I spoke to Chris in the week, and I said to him, are you playing it evil or funny evil? And he said funny evil, because I don't think he could be evil. Well, he could, but not as evil as me.
I don't think anybody can be as evil or as grand-wise as you, Mr. Dupree.
I'm not grand. My God. I'm not.
So my final question before we wrap things up, I think we've covered a lot of bases on this, but I just want to know, why do you think supporting local theatre and live entertainment is important? Because one of the things that we've asked everyone is obviously why it's so important that we get these live theatres and these local venues up and running. So why do you think local theatre and live entertainment is important?
It's important because it's make-believe. It's magical, it's fantasy, it's not the real world. Because the real world, especially right now, is absolutely shite. So people want, and life is shite. People have illnesses, they have a horrible thing, and you go and it's la la land. And again, it's a cliche for me to say, I'm at my happiest when I'm on stage, but you ask I would say 9 out of 10 performers, and they would tell you the same, because it's La La Land. It's not real. It's make believe, fantasy, and escapism, and that's what people want. But there's not enough tits and feathers in show business for my liking at the moment.
Well, I'm sure we'll get those feather boas out and we'll give them a good shake when possible. Do you know what? This has probably been one of the most amazing hours that we've done here on Rambles. It's just been so lovely to hear.
You say that to everyone.
I genuinely don't. Do you know what? It's been so nice to hear a different angle, because a lot of what you do is so different to what we have on this show, and it's been really nice. So thank you so much, Ceri. I really do appreciate you giving up your time to come on tonight. Next week, everyone, it is tomorrow is our year anniversary since we started Friday Night Rambles. I can't believe it's been a year. So next week we are going to be doing our year anniversary special. We're inviting loads of different guests from across the year to come back, and it's going to be really exciting. But until then, I just want to say a massive thank you to Ceri for coming on this evening. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week for a massive party. So we'll see you then. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah.